What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Moving on to another question. This is a communication type of question. So explain what it means for the polynomial equation 5x to the power of 8 plus 5x squared plus 120 equals 0 to have no solutions in two different ways. Well, one way, notice that no matter what x value we plug in here, so let's rewrite this here. So we got 5x8 plus 5x squared plus 120 equals 0. Notice that this value, x to the power of 8, always has to be greater than or equal to 0. It could be 0 if x is 0, but if x is anything else, it's going to be positive, because any negative value to the power of 8 will turn into a positive. Any positive value to the power of 8 will be positive as well. Then this part here, this x squared has to be greater than or equal to 0, and then we got plus 120. So notice how this left side can never equal 0, right? The lowest values that these can take is 0, right? 5 times 0 plus 5 times 0, but we're going to always have this plus 120 here. And then 120 is basically the minimum value of this left side, and then everything else is going to be greater, right? If these brackets are greater than 0. So one way to describe it is that no x value will satisfy the equation, or no x value will make the left side equal to 0. Right? So that's one way to describe it. A second way to describe it is we can describe it graphically. So if you think about it, this here is just a polynomial, right? 5x to the power of 8 plus 5x squared plus 120. And it is a polynomial with a positive leading coefficient 5 and an even degree 8. So we know the end behavior is going to be like this, right? It's going to have a y-intercept of 120, right? If we plug in 0 for the x's, so right here. So I don't know, this polynomial may be a wave, but basically it's never going to hit this x-axis, right? There's not going to be any x-intercepts. It's always going to be above 0. It's actually, in fact, always going to be above 120. So this 120 actually should be like a minimum point, like an absolute minimum for this polynomial, right? So it may look something like this. There may be less waves, more waves. I don't even know, right? But the point is that it's never going to hit the x-axis. There's not going to be any x-intercepts. So that's another way to describe it. We can say 5x to the power of 8 plus 5x squared plus 120 can never equal 0, or it has no x-intercepts. Right? Because when we're finding the x-intercepts of a polynomial, what are we doing? We're taking it, making it equal to 0, then solving for x. That's how we find the x-intercepts. But since we can't solve that, this polynomial is not going to have any x-intercepts. It's always going to be above the x-axis. In fact, it's always going to be above or equal to 120. So two different ways to describe it. First way is sort of algebraically. No x value will make that left side equal to 0. And then graphically, this polynomial function has no x-intercepts.